All right, guys, how we doing? Okay, so back with you here now for a second one today. So this, again, we're kind of testing out this new format here. So you guys are going to pick one. I'm going to pick one. Now, this is one I trade often, and let me just kind of walk you through how I go about picking this. So one, I'm a long-term bag holder here, but there is a trade here that I think is worth looking at. But if I did not have something I was looking at, I will often come over here. Now, there's a couple of sites you can use, and again, I repeat, I have no business relationship with these guys at all. I just like the way that they organize their data. CoinGecko has similar kind of thing, but I like the way they organize this. So what I'll do here, and there's lots of ways that we can organize. So I've just got the overall market here. And I can do, a lot of times I'll just look at what's the 24-hour volume, where's the volume, and of course we're going to see all the majors here, but I like their algo score as well, so I'll sort by algo score, and then if I'm looking at that, because I know I've got a solid project then, and I'm looking, I'll just go look here at the 7-day price and say, well, what do I see? Do I see something that looks like it may have, in this case, double bottomed here, and perhaps we've had a move and the start of a retracement, so I can kind of see, where are we? Have we bounced and we're retracing, as opposed to something like this looks like I might be late to the party on Nexo, or some of these other, they're already ripping. I'm looking for retracements, right? So all of these here in the first bit here, it looks like there's been a little bit of a move. We could be retracing. This looks like you'd be trying to pick the low here. So I start right here. Number one on the board, right, is OX. Great project here. So you can of course here you can dig in if you're not familiar with what they're all about here. So of course it's got a buy recommendation here, very strong on their algo scoring. I'll let you guys do your own due diligence here, dig in a little bit, see how they come about coming up with this scoring that they're using. It's not rocket science. It's pretty much straightforward. It's just common sense. So given that, then typically I'll go from there. I'll see, well, where's the volume? Where's the trading here? And I can see, where are we getting? So in the last 24 hours, I want to see where that volume is. So now where did I put it over here? So Phoenix here, so we can look at longs and shorts. So we're just getting the big picture here. I think this trade's better. Is that we're likely we've got a WXY. Actually, I think this is a WXYXZ if I go all the way out to it here. So WXYX. Then I think is not unreasonable to project that we've done an ABC down here to finish after this X, because I've got a very clear ABC here. This looks like an X, and then it doesn't subdivide as well. So there's a clear 5 into the A wave. I can get a B. A little bit, iffy on the C, but so we just across all of crypto here, so many of the majors, this question mark, do we have a truncated fifth or just essentially a double bottom? So here we get a slight break here, but I don't, even though it looks like you might be able to squeeze a diagonal out of this, the move off of this low is such a clear impulse. I think this is more likely we've done something along these lines. 3, 4, and we just get a truncated 5. So essentially a double bottom here, but this is a few ticks lower. I think that is more likely. That sure, yeah, I see it, right? It's very, very tough here. I'm on a 4-hour to dig 5 out of that. All right, so what are you going to do? Could call this a 4. I think that seems unlikely. So working off of the idea that we've got this is our low. So I'm going to use this because I get the clear 5 here. I don't think you want to go 1, 2. Right now, of course, I could be. Oh, shit, I guess I should check it. Here, just out of curiosity. Could we even get it? We couldn't. Yeah, so you might. So if you went 1, 2, ABC, so you'd have a diagonal, of course. So can we get that? We might. Nope, you can't. So you cannot get a diagonal here. So this has to be ABC. 1, 2, good luck down there, right? So, but here's essentially I'm working off of this pivot. I'm not such a purist that if I can't get the exact subdivision into that swing, I'm just gonna say, oh fuck it, no trade. So I'm gonna work off of this low because I like this 5 coming off of it. So I think there's a decent 1, 2. So just standard ops here, guys, right? Everything we said, can we use this to help us identify where that 3 is? So where's my high probability zone? Right here doesn't really help me. So if I look at the subdivision here, I think this is clearly the 1-2, right, given the depth of the retracement. And then I really don't get anything. I can get a little ABC here. So yeah, it's the 1-2-7-2. It's not radically uncommon. You'd rather see it up here, but I don't think it plays as well because I need a 4 in here. Now, yeah, maybe you could make that case here, but I think the little ABC here is a better fit, even though we didn't quite get there. So we're a little askew here in terms of traditional fib relationships here, but nothing to invalidate this count. So I think this is not unreasonable here. I mean, to play. So now we've got it. So if this is a 3 and potentially now a 4, well, we're already a little deep on the 4. So if that's correctly identified, we've, at least from this pivot, we've had a slight break here of the golden zone. So off of this pivot, we've lost the buy side algo. Now, of course, right, it's always we're always trying to get the best estimate on what they use. Did they use this? Well, we know for sure there will be an algo that'll work dominant swing low to swing high. So sometimes you got to do that. You got to look at all the relationships here. So from start of the 1 through the proposed pivot of the 3, well, where am I? Because, I suppose you could, no, I don't think you want to go back and revisit that. So I think we can go 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, knowing that it's a little bit question mark here. Now, of course, we don't invalidate here. We don't overlap the 1. So I've got a contender down here. I'm right here in this little pocket of low volume here. So if I just bring that across, you can just kind of see, we got, let's bring over here. We've got anything to the left. You had a little cluster here, but here's all the market acceptance here. Here's our 50. So if I just kind of bring this up, you can see market's happy here. Lots of buyers and sellers. You can understand why. Here's the base building that we just went through as we went through weighted for this. You can just kind of look across and say, okay, well, why are we building that? What's all this about? Here was just this base building here. So we get the move out of it. Now we're retracing. So is this corrective and we're just starting down? I think that seems less likely. Not that it's not possible, just less likely. So I've got great subdivision here in the correction, even though it's a little deeper than I'd prefer. But if I get into that, let's go 2 hour here. So I've got a nice so the A wave right to the 38, right from my dominant low here. 38, there's a little ABC there. And now this is, it's tight, right? So it can still play as a 2 as long as we don't overlap. But boy, is it close. Very close, but just barely spared the overlap here. So I think you can go 1, 2, 3, A, B, C into the 4. Same problem here. Just a straight rip down. So there's not going to be much subdivision there, but I think we can. Look how we just went right on the edge of that low volume node here. We didn't overlap here. Now we're denied here. This is where I'm a little cautious of the low here. So here's your algo target. So if this is a front run on the 50. Do we have one more push down? Well, if so, this whole trade is going to fall apart because if this is not going to be 5, so what does that leave for us? Well, if this is so because that's so close, right there, I did not check against every exchange here. If there's an overlap on one exchange, you can't call that a 2, right? One exchange. This is the problem with crypto, right? We don't have standardization, so if it invalidates anywhere, it invalidates. So the alternate here is that you've got A, B, C into the B there. So the B would move over here. All right, so you can see the little 3 there. So then you're looking at a much skinnier 1, 2. So then the whole thing moves over a little bit. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, 5. So you don't completely lose it here if you were on another exchange and you had a 1 tick overlap there. So just to be a little bit more conservative, it doesn't change the trade. So as we look down here, so either that's the pivot, because what I don't want to do is carry this down and let this thing go down this far. There's no reason to. So if you're not in this and you were thinking, well, that kind of looks interesting, here's the trade. You're just working off of this little push up here. Do we get a little retrace that could start this process? Could we get something like that to go? And maybe that's just the 1 wave. The 5th, of course, we're hoping is much higher. Now this we could get something bigger, right? Nothing says we have to just come out of here with a tiny little motive wave to get it started, we could get something much bigger here. I've got a 50 here. So dominant swing low, swing high. I got a target up here. So how are we going to get there? Right? So that could be entirely different. So we could just be getting, oh, let's go down. Let's go to an hourly here. That gets a little spotty in here. Not, that's, would I trade it? Yeah, I would trade. So this I'm already have a pretty good amount of this. So something like that. If I got that retrace, and then I'd be looking for a smaller wave here because I don't want us to do this, right? So this a little bit of a pullback. So you might use some of the structure here, any of this. Just looking for a place where we might find a little structural support here. This zone here, if we pull back a little bit, although, we're talking about pennies here. What are we sitting at? 32 cents. So you'd be trying to be a buyer here at 31.50. Really, this. If you like it here, I think you can be long here. But the risk reward changes. So if you want to wait for a little pullback here, then you get better numbers here. So if we're going to go up for that, there's no reason I wouldn't go below that. I'd let this pivot be my low. So the premise is the ABC is done here. So a little bit of a retrace here, playing off of some of that structure. If I could get that. Now, where's my target up here? So what's that going to give me? There's 8.25 to 1. We're kind of splitting hairs here in terms of where the entry is. It's, really maybe a little more there. I'd be under that pivot right now. Of course, there are going to be stops there, and we know that. But no reason to take any undue risk there. So if this is going to come out of that, well, we got to do it, and so just kind of trying to look here. So we know we're going to hit some resistance there. So that's a reasonable place to start projecting. Well, if we're going to get a true third here, and we're going to get a 4 and a 5, well, you can kind of see, all right, how could we get there? What could that look like? It's, again, I'm just free drawing something here, but I can see a roadmap here based on where I know I'm going to run into some resistance. So you could either wait for that. You could, if we pull back a little bit more, you've got very low risk here on this. I don't hate it. So then same kind of question mark here. So if that's our 4, you got a couple of different ways you could approach this. So you could go from the 2, let's see, use the 2 and the 4, something along those lines. So we get a little bit of confluence here as we get this all kind of lining up. So we've got this down channel that we've just poked our head through. We are not through the Vegas wave yet, right, with a bar that closes above it. So we're still kind of holding here. But if we're going to push, of course, there's going to be resistance at the 50, resistance here. Then we got to back it up, right? You always got to pull back from the dominance. If this is going to be the low, if that's going to be the low, well, maybe I'm going to hit it here. Get a 50 on the retrace, 3, 4, 5. That gets us up there. Okay, what are we doing if we get there? Well, all we've got is our one wave of the higher degree. So, trying to, fudge around here for, 30, 40 cents, that's the individual trader's choice, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with just being a buyer right here. But if you want to try and be really precise with it, that's at least reasonable. Wait for a little bit of a pullback back into or lower side of the channel, looking for that kind of kick. Let's see any help from the oscillators. RSI is holding at 50. You've definitely got some divergence here, so you see that. I'm assuming you guys recognize that. So it's slight in the price, but it's pretty substantial here. I got to pull this over. That little thing's going to get in the way. So I'm assuming you guys can see that right there. Now that doesn't mean that can't change, and we get another leg down here. But you have reasonable conditions here. So we have classic divergence here, new price low, oscillator not making that low. RSI is over 50, not unreasonable, but put the whole thing together, and what are we looking at doing? Swing low, swing high. Now let me get this off here so you can see it. If that's going to finish there, we can anticipate something along those lines, right, to go up and get the big 3. So if we get this and then we come back here, so you're looking at, it's really within pennies of where you're already trying to buy. If right, so emphasis if we go up here and we complete this 5 well, in this case it would be an impulse. It's just the one wave off of the low. So plenty, and I mean plenty of upside to go. in terms of where this all could be. Right? Where could we be going? So see that you lose perspective here. So we're trying to get to $2. What are we sitting at now? 30 cents. Plenty of upside. And I think I've shown this so many times. You guys have all seen this. All right, so oh shit, wait, sorry, it was this one, I think. Was it this one? One of these here was just a perfect 50. Oh shit, now I'm gonna look like an idiot here if I can't find it. So was it this one? Maybe it's this one. There it is. Okay, so here's the algo is getting theirs on the sell side, right? So just been bouncing around that long-term target. Could explain why we have that double bottom here. So swing to the 50, just like so much of crypto did the same thing. We've all bottomed down there. So plenty of upside here. So I wouldn't be too overly concerned about a few pennies on either side of it. I'd let that thing, let's go back to that to that 2 hour. Let this come down a little bit. If there's an opportunity there, I think that's reasonable. It's not kids' tuition money, but there's a trade there, right? Nothing more, nothing less, just another trade. Nothing to get overly excited about, or if it gets stopped out, right, don't let that ruin your day. It's just trading. But there's a reasonable play there. Whether you're going to wait or you're going to take something smaller like this, right? It's just a matter of how aggressive do you want to be, or do you want to let this risk letting it run away from you a bit, waiting for this. So shit, if this were to run away, well then you're waiting for the larger 2, or if you miss the whole thing, there'll still be a 4. So nothing to pounce on, but certainly something to be watching. Guys, kind of like this new format. All right, back to